So let's talk about the third test between Australia and India. It was a rainy test match, and most of it was wasted. And how you have seen the match, and what do you think about the match?
Yeah, well, there was not really much to say about the Brisbane test, wasn't it? It was just dominated by rain, wasn't it? Every day but day two was just had washed out. Um, Having said that, when we did get cricket on in the third test, I felt like Australia dominated. They were better with the ball compared to India. Um, Having said that, late in day five when we got play underway, India, they look pretty good. Whether if they would have chased down the target they got sent, maybe they looked okay. Australia were down a bowler. Hazelwood got injured. Pat Cummins and Mitchell Starc bowled a lot of overs on the fourth day, um, trying to get out the Indian tail and force to follow on. So there were moments in that run chase. It didn't go for very long. That you thought India very comfortable. KL, Goswell very comfortable. They were going a run a ball, which the required run rate was about six, and they're around about 5.5. So they were going along pretty nicely, and then the rain came along, and then just washed out day five. So if rain had not set in and bad light, wowee, that would have been a very interesting chase. We could have seen what happened 2 years ago in Brisbane when India chased down that winning total with Richard Pant. So that it would have been really, really interesting but wasn't to be. Rain did wash it out. Hazelwood fortunately got injured; he's out for the series. But we go to Melbourne at 1-1, which means the Sydney Test match, the fifth Test match, the series will be alive no matter what happens, which I think is good for cricket, good for this series as well.
So going forward to the Boxing Day test, we have some changes. We have a new batter coming in, Sam Constas, and we have Max Sweeney going out of the team. Bad luck for him. And how you rate this new player? How's it? Is it a good player?
Yeah, Sam Constas. This came really from nowhere, to be honest. You scored a lot of runs in the Sheffield Shield, scored a couple of hundreds. He got selected to play the India A game, the two unofficial tests or two first class matches against India A for Australia A. Didn't do that good in the first test. The second test or the first class game, whatever you want to call it. The second one, he made a 60 in a run chase. He was very good. Went back to the Shield. Um, Needed to work on a couple of things. Does have a problem with the in swinger. Probably his only weakness is that he plays the short ball extremely well. He plays spin extremely well. With Nathan Lyon, constantly around him in the Sheffield Shield team for New South Wales, because Nathan Lyon does play Sheffield Shield a lot when he's available, compared to other bowlers that like to rest. So he's gained a lot of experience for Nathan Lyon. He played another India A game, a pink ball 50 over game where he belted 100 off run a ball. Yes, they didn't have Jasprit Bumrah, but they had other bowlers that were playing in those test matches for India, and looked extremely good. He went back to the Sheffield Shield, and then he scored an 80 in in another pink ball game at the Sheffield Shield. So he's a fantastic player. With McSweeney, it's very harsh. At least you'd think he'd try to get at least one series. Um, I don't have a problem per se with Sam Constas being picked. The problem is, should have Sam Constas been picked in the first place? Um, Instead of a number three who's batting at one, who's opening, where Sam Constas is a neutral opener. He's made all these runs as an opener. That's the question that's going to be debated. I feel for McSweeney. There's a chance we may not see McSweeney again. Could be a chance because Sam Constas is obviously he's going to get the next two Test matches against India. They go to Sri Lanka for a two-test series. He's going to get those as well. And it's also been announced that they've got a West Indies three-test tour in the West Indies in June. Sam Constas most likely going to get another chance in that as well before the Ashes. So it's a shame on McSweeney. Um, Unfortunately, We just seen him in the Big Bash. He scored 80 in a run chase in the Big Bash. So what are the odds of that? He gets dropped and he makes an 80 odd in a winning one run chase in the Big Bash for the Sydney Thunder. So no, but Sam Constance, very exciting opportunity. To come into mid series. It's not easy. Jasper Bourne is the best bowler in the world. So that's going to be very very hard. We can sit here and say, oh, he's going to make 100. Well, he could get out first ball duck. So we just don't know how he'll go. But what I will say is that, like I said, he's up against the best bowler in the world in Jasprit Bumrah. So no matter what he does, it's not going to be easy at all. But he did a press conference later yesterday. He said it was just another day for him. It's just going to be another day. So his attitude is pretty positive. I think that's the right attitude to take in as well. So it's a heavy burden, but he's got right positive attitude, and I think he'll make a run of it, in my opinion.
So my next question will be someone who did not play the third match, Ravichandran Ashwin, and announced his retirement. And what do you think about Ashwin as a player in the test matches?
Yeah, as a player, his record speaks for itself. He has over a thousand wickets, like first class, ODIs, T20s combined over 1,000 wickets. Just a legendary bowler will go down, in cricket history as one of the best spin bowlers of all time, along with Shane Warne, Muralitharan. So he's been a tremendous player for India, not just for India but for cricket as well. Inspired a lot of kids in India and worldwide. Will be sadly missed. His retirement was a bit of a shock to me because there was a lot of talk of Virat and Sharma maybe it would be them two retiring. And then, Ashwin out of nowhere says, what, I'm done. I know Ashwin's form the last couple of months, it hasn't been great. The Bangladesh series, wasn't that great there. The New Zealand series, it wasn't that great there. So he's had a couple of bad series. Um, but still, to retire, he actually he's played in this series. He played in Adelaide, and he actually did. To be fair, he did pretty good. Made some runs with the bat. Was nice and tidy with the ball. So yeah, complete shock with that. But no, as a bowler, you look at his famous bowling innings. 10 wicket matches against South Africa and Nepal. Um, Again, New Zealand as well, where he's just scored 10 wicket matches. He's saved a lot of matches for India. He's also won a lot of matches for India for his own bowling. Um, so he's a fantastic bowler that will go down. 100% top five spin bowlers of all time, maybe even top three, behind, like I said, Shane Warne and Muralitharan. Um, but it's when I think we take these cricketers a little bit for granted. We don't realise how good they were or are until they're retired. And Ashwin, he sits right there as one of those players. He's also he's got a good temperament. He's seen as a nice guy off field. We get the banter he had with Tim Payne with the Gabba, things, Gabba sledging and all that. But his perception is that he's a really nice guy that just loves cricket, just a cricket nuffy, cricket guy. And he'll go down as a legend of the game, no doubt Hall of Famer. And no doubt a respected cricketer. Not just Test matches. He's no mug with the white ball. He's won matches with India the white ball as well. And not just his bowling, his batting as well. Seems to love the West Indies. He scored most of his hundreds against West Indies. And he's saved with the bat as well. I remember last tour of Australia where he made a fine knock in Sydney. Just a grinding knock that saved the match for India. So situations like that where he's done well in the past, and yeah, he's just a all round nice guy and a legend of the game.
So three test matches down, we have won one because Australia have won one test and India have won one test, and Rain have won the third test. So we have two games coming up, and after these three matches, we have the top wicket takers, which is Jasprit Bumrah, which is crazy, right? Jasprit Bumrah picking up 21 wickets, and still we think that India is in trouble or something because the third match they almost lost. Thanks to, I think it's up to the batters now. What do you think about Bumrah as a bowler, as a leader, and everything?
In my opinion, I think he should be captain in the series. In my opinion, um, he as a leader, he inspires his teammates. I think a lot better than Rohit Sharma. And that's no shade on Rohit Sharma. Rohit Sharma's been a legend of India cricket, just as much as Ashwin has. Um, but I think when Bumrah is captain, the rest of the teammates do get a bit from him compared to Rohit Sharma. As a bowler, 21 wickets. We've only played three tests. He's taken 21 wickets. He could easily have a 40 wicket series. I think in a best of five series that hasn't been done since 2005, where Shane Warne picked up 40 against England. So just legendary, numbers we're speaking here. Um, I think I think in Adelaide, he was a little bit poor in Adelaide with the new ball. You saw in Perth, with the new ball when he bowled full. My God, he was just all over the Australian batsman. I think the last couple of tests with the new ball, he's been a little bit short, and I think that's the difference in these tests with this series with the new ball. Mitchell Stark, Hazelwood, Boland, they all pitch the ball up. They're not afraid to not afraid to get hit. Where Boomer's a little bit tentative the last couple of test matches. So I'd like to see him pitch that ball up because when he does, he'll get something outrageous like 7 for 10. He'll take a lot of wickets. So I think that's one thing he can just tweak a little bit. Um, it is up to the batters as well. You just can't leave it to one man. Um, and the last two tests, Australia have outbatted India compared to the first test in Perth, where the Indian batsmen, KL, Kohli, they all made hundreds. And we saw with the last test, Steve Smith, made 100. So you do need the batsmen to back up the bowlers, but also you need other bowlers to step up. And I think that's where, from Indian perspective, they've been a little bit poor. Siraj, haven't seen his form. He's a world-class bowler. We saw a couple of his performances in England a couple of years ago, where he'd take 5 wicket hauls. Won a Test match for England during the COVID years, late on day 5. Haven't seen that yet from Siraj. Every now and then you'll see a couple of good spells, but mainly he hasn't been good enough at all. And when you've only got one good bowler, he can take 60 wickets, for all I care. You can't do it by yourself. Mitchell Stark, he's taken around about 16, 17 wickets. But Cummins has chipped in, Hazelwood's chipped in, Boland chipped in last test. So that's another difference in winning this series. You need another bowler to step up to help you, because the more overs Bumrah bowls, the more he gets tired. We saw in Adelaide, he picked up a little niggle. It turned out to be cramp, no issue, but maybe again if he falls up again, maybe that won't be cramp if it comes serious. So bowling, 7 spells, like he does, probably 3-4 times a day doesn't really help India, especially when you have a bowler that's like so I think he needs a little bit more help. Rana, we've talked about this on other shows. I thought he was very good last test. Pitched it up, he nicked off Rana Sorry, not Rana, Reddy. Sorry, my bad. So Reddy, I thought he was fantastic last test match. He picked up Marnus Labuschagne, nicking off to the edges, pitched it up nice and full, troubled deep as well. I think you need a bowler that's prepared to pitch it up full, be brave. And I haven't seen that for India the last two tests. Saw that in the first test. Saw that from Reddy. Saw that from Rana. Saw that from Siraj. Saw that from Bumrah. But for some reason, they've gone away from that. Well, Australia, they're not going to go away from that. They're going to still pitch it up full. They're going to invite the drive. They're going to invite you to play through the covers and edge the ball to slips. Um, so I think that India needs to improve a little bit there with the backup of Justin Bumrah, bowling a little bit more.
So yeah, we know that Boxing Day is coming up, and we have a Test match coming up. And also, if you look into South Africa versus Pakistan, there's also a Test match going on. And what do you want to say about that?
Yeah, on the India and Australia. Boxing Day is played every year in Australia. It's been a tradition for a couple of years now. Um, we're thinking about on day one, we're going to see about 85,000 plus or close to. It's massive for Test cricket. Um, it's a on Australian Day calendar. Um, when you think of cricket, you think of one that dominates the calendar in Australia. You think or boxing. Um, and next year you've got England coming across. That could be 100,000. There's talk that it's not like 100,000. Ridiculous Test match. Even 85,000. Um, no matter who the opponent is, there's always a crowd. Pakistan, they drew 55,000 on day one. West Indies have drawn 65,000, 60,000. So it's just a famous day, Australian calendar for cricket. In South Africa, they've tried to adapt the Boxing Day as well. Unfortunately, as a crowd goes, it's been a little bit disappointing. Um, for some reason, the last 5-10 years, crowds in South Africa when it comes to Test matches have died. It's very sad to see because South Africa they're actually qualified for the World Test Championship. They've actually qualified. Um, so they're just waiting whether it would be Australia and India. So I would like to see, the South African crowd tomorrow or the day one come out and support their team. They are in the final. And they've got tremendous talent, South Africa, especially on the bowling end. Rabada, ridiculous bowler. If Bum's the best bowler in the world, Rabada's not too far behind him. He'd be second best. His strike rate is better than Justin Bumrah's. So just a ridiculous bowler. And he's in form as well. He picked up, a lot of wickets in the two Test series against Bangladesh. He was a handful of Rabada on Asian pitches as well. Marco Jansen against Sri Lanka, where he took something like 20, just something ridiculous. So he's a fantastic bowler. Maharaj, world class spinner. Berger, he's an up and coming bowler. Gotietz, he was bowling 150 Ks in the Sri Lanka series. So their bowling depth is unreal. They've got very good batting depth as well. Bettingham, who's played a lot of cricket in the county in England. They've got Tristan Stubbs, new kid on the block. Tristan Stubbs, he's a very good talent as well. Scored 100 in the last series as well for against Sri Lanka. So, led by also Timber Bavuma, who's also found some runs. He made 100 as well. He's found some runs. So their Test team is in a really good place right now compared to what was 2-3 years ago, where it was transitioning, it was struggling, and they've made the final. I don't think you would have ever predicted that going into this cycle. Would South Africa make the final? You'd probably say no, not a chance. But their talent, especially like I said, their bowlers have put them into that final. And the final is going to be in England. And if they decide to make a bowling friendly pitch, look out. It could be another two-day test because they're potent. Their bowlers are so potent. But I would like to see the South African crowd come out and support them. I know inflation. Times are tough in South Africa, but this team is doing something very special, and it's in an ICC Trophy final. And you don't take those for granted. Whether it's a T20 final, an ODI final, you're in an ICC tournament final. You have to take that seriously. So I would like to see the South African crowd come out and support. And I'm not asking for 60,000 fans, 70,000 fans. At least 15, 20,000 on day one. Support this team. But we'll see. And it also two good Boxing Day Test matches, and I think that's good for Test cricket as well.
So that was our guest, Luke from Australia, and we will talk more about the test series later on. And thank you so much for your views.
No problem, Hacker. Pleasure to be here. It is Christmas. It's Christmas Day in Australia. So anyone that's watching from the Western world, Merry Christmas. Or season greetings, whatever you want to call it. Hope you have a tremendous day. And Hack, always a pleasure coming on here. Thank you so much, my friend. Anytime.